We are back on Shake Them Ropes, and we are joined by the founder, promoter of Global Force Wrestling, former WWE, WCW, USWA star, been around the world all the time, and former guest of this very show. Jeff Jarrett is with us. Jeff, how are you today?
Good. How you doing, my friend?
I am doing quite well, and we've talked before. The last time we spoke, you were in the ramp up to promoting the Wrestle Kingdom show here in the United States. You hadn't run any of the GFW events that you ran this summer yet, but now that the summer is over, how has the Global Force tour, especially the ballpark shows, the Grand Slam tour, how have they gone?
Well, ironically enough that you would ask that, because I literally just had a call with one of the teams. We were talking about dates for next year. I had it early this morning. That guy gets up way too early for me. But anyway, no, he calls me on the way in. But anyhow, it went great. It was a great brand awareness. We went into it knowing that we are a brand new company, you can call it a startup company. And we had 15, 16, 18 shows from Reno, as far west as Reno, Nevada, to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, all through Tennessee, up in Wisconsin. So we really spread the word and working with each of those teams, marketing department, social media department, digital, their fan base, their infrastructure. It was really a great experience. I can say without question, every ballpark we went to has said, when can we get you back next year? We know that things are growing and it's a step-by-step. And these ballparks, they really like having, they call them non-baseball events. But, it was a real cool environment, set the ring up on home plate. And it's just, an outdoor show. And if you're a wrestling fan and never been to an outdoor show, it's got just a real cool vibe to it. So it was great for us. It was really a great brand awareness initiative.
Now, I'm here in Fort Wayne, and I don't know if you know this, Jeff, but we have a pretty nice minor league stadium here as well.
Let me cut you off. We could not schedule that date, but we are definitely going to try to get it on the schedule for 2016. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it the Tin Caps? What's the ballpark?
That's right. Yeah, the Fort Wayne Tin Caps, Parkview Field. Very,
very successful organization, and that organization, like many of the minor league organizations, are really top notch. They truly are. I hate to say this, they're just so much more than a minor league ball club, because they've got that venue that's most of the time right in the center of town or close to downtown, or it's in a good area. And you come out, these ballparks have great food, great concessions. If you're a beer drinker, they got all kinds of beer. But it's really a great experience. And when we had our VIP sessions, some of the ballparks were saying, hey, we're going to take notes from you guys on different events. But so the VIP experience was so fan accessible. It was really, really cool. And so, yes, I would love to get on the schedule in Fort Wayne next year.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. It would certainly be easier for me as far as the commute goes.
There you go.
Now, a couple of weeks from now, and I want to bring this up because it's very important for one reason. You're wrestling on these shows, but Global Force is going to the UK. And you're going to be there on the 28th and the 30th of October. You're going to Lincolnshire, I believe it is, on the 28th. And you will be wrestling on these shows. What went into putting yourself on the card for these things?
I have no idea. Am I crazy? I told myself that I was going to slow down, and I've slowed down quite a bit. But one thing led to another, and we've got partners over there, and they were like, Jeff, we really think you need to wrestle. And I'm like, well, I'm certainly not wrestling at the AMP tapings in Vegas. I didn't wrestle this summer on the ballpark tours, and they're like, it's a special event. It's our first UK events. And so they sort of twisted my arm a little bit. And as a businessman, I do think it's the right decision to do. Don't look for me to be full-time in Global Force on any stretch of the imagination. Okay. But for these shows, I think it was important. The ticket sales are going great. I'm not taking the credit for that. I think it's the brand and the card we put together. And quite frankly, the UK scene is very hot. We realize that. We've got some great British stars. Doug Williams, a legend in that country, but Marty Squirrel, and then of course Nick Aldis is an enormous star, and we're wrestling in his hometown at Kings Lynn. So it's a really, really cool two-show deal.
Yeah, Kings Lynn on the 30th. Is that something you've ever given thought about? I mean, you mentioned how you're slowing down the in-ring and you're doing the promotion for GFW. Are you one who's ever thought about having like maybe not a retirement tour or anything like that, but a last match promoting it as such? Or are you just one who's going to keep wrestling when the dates come about and, just kind of ride off into the sunset and maybe not have a specific last show?
I'm more akin to that, but I'm never going to get out of the wrestling business. It's my passion. It's my love. It's what, I grew up in this. And, over the years, you've seen people have retirement matches and then come back 2 years later and a retirement tour and have a little more like that. And that's appropriate for some people. I just know that I'm in this business. I'm going to stay in this business. I love it. And so, this may be my last match in there. I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. But I take them one match at a time. I used to tell myself, as I got into my late 30s and early 40s, when am I going to slow down? When am I going to take that step of really a full time? And every year, around New Year's, I would sort of reevaluate things and how I felt, look at things, sort of look at the outcast, the future, and I'd say, nope, I'm going to amp up. And then, I keep my training regimen and all of that as much as I possibly can. This past year, I probably did out of workouts, I probably did 20% weights and the other 80% cardio and yoga. So as far as keeping in ring shape, I have slowed down on that somewhat.
How many of the Tennessee Titans are you up to training with now? Is it 5? Is it 7?
They've got so many new guys, and I've been obviously for the past couple of years, really just laser focused. So Mariani's probably one of my best friends as far as a football player, and he's a Bear now. He plays for the Chicago Bears. So the current crop of Titans, some of the retired guys, Frank Wycheck and a few others, Michael Roos. But no, as far as the current guys, I'm a huge fan of them, and I believe we've got the right. I don't believe. I'm pretty damn sure we got the right quarterback. We're just going to have to surround him with some more skilled players and definitely give him a great line.
That's right. When we were talking in January, the draft hadn't happened yet, and we were wondering who you would get. And here you are, Marcus Mariota, and it looks like things are pretty okay for them.
Yep.
Now, when we talked in January, you were promoting the Wrestle Kingdom show. Now, Wrestle Kingdom is a couple of months away now in 2016. Is Global Force going to have any part in this year's Wrestle Kingdom, or is that something being talked about?
I don't believe so, and I don't believe it's anything. They launched their streaming service. That is a company that when we did the deal, it was basically a 3-part deal. It was Global Force Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and TV Asahi. So a lot of pieces of the puzzle. We were very very happy. They were very happy with the results. But I don't know the inner workings, but I tend to believe they are laser focused on their network, and rightly so. And so as far as the show being aired on, I'll call it traditional pay-per-view here in the States, I believe TV Asahi would be one to opt out and really go full force on their network. And that's, they're not the only ones doing that. Look at the WWE.
Yeah. GlobalForceWrestling.com is the website you can go to get all the information on the UK events. You can get information. October 23rd, you're in Las Vegas doing another AMP taping. When might we see these television shows that have been taped? This is the 3rd taping now.
Go ahead. That's $1 million question, my friend. And it's been a real challenge, and I made no secret about it that the name of our company is Global Force Wrestling, and we've been in discussions with U.S. distributors, but also many territories and countries around the world, from South Africa, all through Europe, UK, Australia, India, Japan, Canada, Mexico, Sub-Saharan Africa, Northern Africa, the Middle East. We truly are in the midst of launching a global brand, and timing and syncing things up, so to speak, has been quite the challenge. But we're looking forward in the next. I don't have patience. It's not my DNA. But lawyers, once they get a hold of things, it can take, and it has, at times over the last, I'll say the last month, we have really come to a halt in negotiations from time to time. I'm not saying complete halt, but we would volley back and forth, and it'd be in our court for a day, and I'd want to turn it around, and it takes time, and then you turn it around, and then their side sits on a couple of days. So things have got drug out, but we're looking forward in the next 4 to 6 weeks to be making some really cool announcements.
And we don't have a lot of time with you today, unfortunately, but I did want to get your thoughts since the last time we spoke. One of your last programs in WCW, your last pay-per-view match, in fact, was with Dustin and Dusty Rhodes. And I wanted to get your thoughts on the passing of Dusty Rhodes this summer and what he meant to you in pro wrestling.
You know, Dusty, just the charisma. He truly was the American dream, son of a plumber, came up the hard way, learned this craft, this trade. And obviously, you know, his in-ring charisma has very few parallels. But what I like to remember, Dusty, is that in the early days of TNA, he'd drive up from Atlanta every week when we were doing the Wednesday shows, and just how, you know, his heart was in this business. He loved it. He just loved it. And so the one-on-one conversations that we would have that would start about business and then, you know, get into life. And obviously he's got kids in the business. My dad was in the business. And so we would trade stories and, you know, we would just had a real, I'd call it a deeper level relationship during those years. And I like to remember very fondly those days. Very special guy, without question.
And before we let you go, we have a couple of questions from members of the audience. At Shake Them Ropes on Twitter, you can tweet us questions for future guests.
There you go.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a ghost?
Have I ever seen a ghost? No, I have not. I don't particularly believe in the that kind of stuff, but I'll say this: members of my family do. So it's almost a running joke argument about that. But you know, there's so many shows out now that revolve around the supernatural and ghosts and all that. So I can understand why one of your Twitter followers would ask that question.
Yeah, and kind of on that note, sometimes, I mean, there are stories out there about how wrestling is a crazy business and a lot of people get into it. So there's a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different beliefs. Has there ever been a moment in pro wrestling in your numerous years where you've been in a locker room with someone who has just said something or thought something that you did a double take and you just couldn't believe you're actually listening to this?
Are you kidding? That's on a daily basis. No. Yeah, I mean, you know, our business has always had that hybrid of a sports team with rivals in the locker room, and I mean legit rivals where guys despise one another, but that happens on football teams. But then you sort of take the sporting aspect and you mix it with a touring music act and put that into one big melting pot that has no off season. Locker rooms can get, and I've seen get really bizarre at times, but I'll leave it at that. But yes, without question, there has been many times that you look at, you know, your buddy and say, did that guy really just say what I think he just said? But so, yes.
And the last one we got for you, Jeff, have you tried to do any business this year, maybe any time in the past, directly with Ring of Honor?
We have had, I mean, it was reported online that we've had discussions with those guys off and on. You know, I'm hopeful when the time is right, not just Ring of Honor, the time was right for us to do business with TNA. You know, it goes without saying, if you know anything about Global Force Wrestling, that's what we're part of. We're working with promotions in the United Kingdom. I've got meetings coming up when I go over there at the end of this month with multiple promoters. So Ring of Honor would love to work with those guys and many other promotions.
Global Force Wrestling is the website. You can get all the information on the UK tours and the AMP tapings coming to Las Vegas on October 23rd. Jeff, we'll have to get you back on at some point for a little bit longer conversation about your history in wrestling and what's going on with Global Force, but I appreciate you making time for us today. Sure,
I'd love to. And you know, starting Monday, we're going to be rolling out some videos that are specific about AMP that maybe you can call them a sneak peek footage, but they're all driving to crowning 4 champions in Las Vegas on October 23rd. It is, if you're in that area and listening to this, it's really going to be a special night. We got some special things lined up, but more importantly, the 4 champions crowned, and that's will truly be a historic night in Global Force Wrestling, because you know there's going to be 5 people, a tag team and 3 singles. They're going to walk out of there to be the first ever champion in Global Force.
Well, I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for making time for Shake Them Ropes, and we'll see you in the future.
I appreciate it, and obviously it sounds like you're a football fan, so I'll leave it with this: go Titans and choke on that, slapnuts.
All right, we are back with Gabe Sapolsky of WWNLive EVOLVE Wrestling here on Shake Them Ropes. Gabe, how are you doing today?
Good, very good, actually. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for everyone out there for listening. I appreciate it.
It's been an exciting week. We're going to talk about EVOLVE 49 and 50 coming up this weekend, but it's been an exciting week. A lot of news coming out of your camp yesterday with the announcement of Sami Zayn appearing on your EVOLVE wrestling shows this weekend. How did Sami Zayn appearing on your shows come about?
I don't like to get into all the details of everything. The important thing is that he's coming to our shows. Triple H and WWE saw an opportunity to help us out and send them our way to create some buzz. It's a win-win for everybody. Sami Zayn, he wants to come to shows. This is something he wanted to do. They asked him. They didn't send him here. They didn't force him to go. They said, hey, do you want to come to these shows? And he goes, yeah, I'd love to get out of the house, come check out these shows. And so it helps him out. And most importantly, it's great for the fans. This is creating an exciting situation right now. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Nobody knows what's happening next. I don't know what's happening next. I don't think they know what's happening next. But one way or another, it's going to be a lot of fun to watch and a lot of fun to follow for everybody. So it's a winning situation for WWE and for us and for Sami Zayn and for the fans. So it just all makes sense.
A lot of us have seen the transformation of Sami Zayn going from El Generico, who didn't, speak a lot on camera, to Sami Zayn, who's one of the most natural talkers, it seems like. And you've spent so many years behind the camera. Is there anyone that stands out, especially in your years of pro wrestling, that's just been like the most natural speaker in front of a wrestling camera ever? Like, who stands out to you as far as natural speaking ability?
I mean, CM Punk is an obvious one. Right now on our roster, Johnny Gargano and Ethan Page are really at the top of the class. Gargano's been cutting awesome promos for us for years. Ethan Page, I'm trying to give him the opportunity as much as he wants, and he keeps grabbing it. And he's an absolutely tremendous talker. I think in about 6 months, it takes time for this kind of stuff to circulate and catch on. I think about 6 months, everybody's going to be aware of how good of a natural and how good of a talker Ethan Page is in front of the mic. But, there's a lot of good talkers in their own kind of ways. Drew Gulak is an excellent promo. Timothy Thatcher, he's not going to be promo of the year, but he's got his own style, which works for him, and that's an important thing. So, and of course, Drew Galloway is one of my favorites too. I mean, when he was our EVOLVE champion for the year, I mean, every time he gave one of those speeches, post-match, I felt like getting in the ring myself and fighting. He's just a real natural there.
Matt Riddle, formerly of the UFC, is going to be debuting on the EVOLVE shows this weekend. What do you expect from Matt Riddle?
Riddle's actually been training a lot, and not just at the Monster Factory, over at the CZW school somewhat, and he's putting a lot into this. This isn't a guy that's coming in and saying, hey, I'm going to be handed everything. This is a guy that's working for it, and most importantly, he's a guy that wants it. He's a guy that wants to be successful. He's a guy that we booked because I did watch some of his matches from the Monster Factory, and he showed a great deal of potential in the ring for a guy that's just been training since November. He's obviously a great natural athlete by his success in MMA. I mean, here's a guy that didn't fail at MMA and now is forced to come here. He's a guy that was successful and then got, had some controversy, and that kind of derailed his career. But this is a natural athlete with a tremendous amount of charisma as well. And, we'll see what kind of talker he is as well. I'm not quite sure yet. But this is a guy that's really driven and has all the tools for success and has a ton of potential. And we're gonna see what he does. I'm very happy with the opponents that we set him up with. It's definitely not just matches he's going to walk in and roll over on. Like Jonathan Gresham is a very, very talented technical wrestler, a guy who's traveled the world, and a guy that's very hungry for this kind of opportunity, and the guy that we've been talking to a lot about EVOLVE over the past few months. We've always touched base with each other. And that's going to be Riddle against Gresham on this Saturday in Queens, New York, and that's going to be on live pay-per-view at WWNLive.com. And then it's him versus Chris Dickinson in Long Island on this Sunday, and that again is another live pay-per-view at WWNLive.com. And Dickinson's, he's a beast, and he's a guy who's gotten in phenomenal shape over the past year, and he's a little bit crazy too. So that's going to be a real interesting situation as well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how Riddle does.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Matt Riddle doesn't really seem like the type of wrestler that you see come into Evolve Wrestling in the way Evolve is formed. How did Matt Riddle coming into Evolve happen?
No, I completely disagree with that, actually, because Matt Riddle is a legit MMA guy. I mean,
yeah.
the last year in Evolve, we've really been focusing on technical wrestling and a lot of guys with MMA influences. TJ Perkins has excelled in that, Timothy Thatcher, Drew Gulak, Biff Busick. Tracy Williams is now the guy to watch. We actually have a free matchup on our YouTube channel, Tracy Williams versus Biff Busick, that incorporates those kind of influences. And when you bring Matt Riddle in, here's a guy who's legitimately trained and successful in amateur wrestling and those MMA techniques. So to me, he fits in perfectly with what we've been doing with Evolve.
Now, obviously, you'll have to see, what happens over this weekend, but do you expect Matt Riddle to be back for future shows?
We'll see how he does this weekend. Nothing's set in stone. He's still new to pro wrestling. He's still a rookie, basically, when it comes to pro wrestling. So he has to perform. People aren't just given spots in Evolve. They're earned. There's a cut that needs to be made. And right now, Riddle is being booked on potential, and we'll see how he realizes that potential this weekend.
So Evolve 49 is happening on Saturday, this Saturday, October the 17th in Queens, New York. The main event features someone that, listeners of this show, as we're more WWE and NXT centric, have been seeing Johnny Gargano on NXT TV. And Johnny Gargano is going to be in an I Quit match against Ethan Page. Can you tell us about the main event on Evolve 49?
Yeah, I'm really proud of the story that we have going into this. It's been building up since WrestleMania this year, so it's been building up for months. And Ethan Page has basically dominated Johnny Gargano physically, mentally, emotionally. He turned his best friend Rick Swann against him. He took Gargano's prized DGUSA Open to Freedom Gate title. He's defeated him. He's laid him out. He's fooled him. He's done everything he can. So now Gargano's coming in, and it's going to be an I-Quit match, which kind of harkens back to the I-Quit match between Gargano and Chuck Taylor back at DGUSA a few years ago, which was an absolutely fantastic match and a brutal match and a real feud ender. And basically Gargano has stated if Ethan Page is able to make him say I quit, Johnny Gargano will walk away from Evolve. And at the same time, Gargano says when he makes Ethan Page say I quit, then that pretty much negates everything that Page has done to him and pushes Page right down to the opening match and shows that all this was for nothing. So a lot on the line right there, and I'm proud of the story. We're building up to it, and we'll have a video up on our YouTube page, dgusa.tv at YouTube. That'll highlight a lot of the things that have happened there.
So we know Sami Zayn is coming to Evolve this weekend. Can you tell us anything about what he's going to be doing there?
Yeah, he will not be on the pay-per-view, so we don't want to act like we're false advertising him. He's not going to be wrestling. He's still up with a shoulder injury. So, again, no false advertisements there. But he will be available to the fans who buy VIP tickets for a meet and greet, which will include an autograph opportunity. And I'm getting some 8x10 sent to us, and we will give those out as well as the supplies last. And then he will also be appearing in the ring during the live show for the fans that are in the building that night. And he will be doing a promo, and he will have some interaction with some guys. So, we'll leave the mystery there as to exactly what's going to happen at that point. But he is going to be part of the show for the fans in live attendance, and he will be available at the meet and greet as well. So it'll be a great experience for all the fans that come to these shows.
What do you think it is about you, Gabe, that allows, because Sami Zayn is an NXT, he's a WWE contracted wrestler, and he's coming to your show. What is it about you, do you think, that allows WWE, Triple H, anyone involved to have so much trust in you to allow their talents to appear on your shows, because they're not just allowing Sami Zayn to work for anybody?
That's a question for them. I just have tried to treat the guys who've worked for us well, and I've always tried to do the best I can by everybody who's been with us, and fortunately some of those people have gone on and said good things to when WWE management was asking them, and we just try to do good business, and I've been doing it for a while. It's been 21 years now that I've been doing this, so it's not like it's something that happened overnight. So during that time, I just always tried to do business the right way and have a good reputation and treat people the right way. So, hopefully it kind of pays off by getting a favor like having Sami Zayn on the show.
Mm-hmm. Evolve 49 and 50 this weekend, DGUSA.tv, WWNLive.com. You guys are running some shows. The WWNLive Experience is coming to Dallas for WrestleMania 32. Aside from the dates you can all find at WWNLive.com. Any talents or anything that you can tell us about what's going to be happening that weekend in WWNLive Experience? Anything you can share with us?
Yeah, it's going to be a loaded weekend. We're going to have Evolve shows on Friday and Saturday. We're going to have a WWN Super Show on Saturday night where Terry Funk is going to be presented a Lifetime Achievement Award because we're in Texas and it's Terry Funk, and how can you not do that? We're going to have the Viva La Lucha promotion there. We're going to have Shimmer there. We're going to have Kaiju Big Battle. So we have a lot of stuff going on that weekend, and then we have the Terry Funk Texas Tailgate Barbecue happening on Sunday outside of WrestleMania. It's basically going to be across the street from the Texas Stadium parking lot. So Terry Funk's going to be there, and we're getting first class barbecue for that. We're not cutting any corners there. And it's going to be a great time to come over there and eat some barbecue with Terry Funk before the WrestleMania. So right now we're still working on things. We're going to have, of course, all our usual cast of characters there, and we're going to honor Terry Funk. And you can go to morethanmania.com. That's morethanmania.com for all the information on that. And I also do want to note that we do have shows coming up in Florida, November 6th, in Ybor City, November 7th, in Orlando, and we'll have a lot more information about those shows next week after the events coming up this weekend. But I can say that we do have Drew Galloway returning to those shows in Florida, and I'm very excited to have Drew Galloway back. Actually, he's a main event talent to me, a WrestleMania main event talent, and I'm thrilled to have him back and get him back in the fold and start the next chapter with him after that epic title reign he had with us. So, yeah, we got a lot going on, and you know, there's really no telling what's going to happen next with any of the stuff that we discussed. So it's going to be a fun ride, and hopefully people will jump aboard. I'm on the ride too. I don't know what's coming next, and we'll just have to wait and see. And I can tell you one thing, is that it will be exciting.
Is that the way you like it? Do you like just pure chaos?
Yeah, why not? You know, I mean, I like having a plan, but I like going with the flow. I mean, if there's one thing I've learned over the years, is that you have to go with the flow in this business, and you have to be open to it. And when you do that, it creates a lot of spontaneous things, you know. And that's what happened with the CZW feud back in the day, 10 years ago or whatever it was.
It's what happened with Punk and Joe, the hour time limit, was it not? I mean, wasn't that because Steve Corino couldn't show up to a match? Was he injured or something like that? So sometimes chaos causes.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be able to run with it and go with it. And now when you have kind of this controlled chaos, I want to say, because it does suck when it's something like, oh, the guy's flight was canceled or he's injured or something like an uncontrollable circumstance like that, where it throws everything upheaval. But when it's something like this, where you're like, well, what's the next email going to bring? You know, what's the next phone call going to bring? What's the next announcement we're going to be able to make? That to me is very exciting, and that's where you really go with the flow and thrive in those kind of situations. And I love it. I think that's what makes the entire business exciting.
Evolve 49 and 50 this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, WWNLive.com. Gabe, thank you so much for making some time for us today, and thanks for sharing the news on Sami Zayn coming to Evolve.
I appreciate it, Rob. Thank you. You guys do a great job with that site. I enjoy it a lot.